little badass. Book badass. You little badass. You little badass. Book club badass. Welcome to the show.
Well, whenever you guys are listening to this, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, you badasses.
Hello, hello. We are here.
We are here.
And we're ready.
And we're ready. Let's get started.
I'm just so ready to hear because I'm on the edge of my seat thinking about you finishing Fourth Wing.
Are we jumping into the Fourth Wing?
We don't have to just now if you have something, a little banter and fun, but I just got done reading those notes and I'm pumped.
Well, let's just say in the last episode, when I talk about it not being Harry Potter, it is not Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm, true.
And all of you who are reading along with us or you've read it and you've been waiting for me to catch up are shaking your head going, oh, yes, it's not.
Ooh.
In the best way. So I'm going to get out my copy just so that I can hug it and hold it because, well, you know why. So, yes, let's just say that if you haven't finished it, you'll want to wait to finish this before you listen to this episode because I got through it. And once you're in it, you're done. Like, you just can't stop. Last episode, I also spoke about, the appropriate location to be reading it.
Sure.
And what I realized is the appropriate time is also important. Like, not when family members need your attention.
Sure.
Or you have to cook dinner because it's not going to happen. Like, everything else has to be put on hold because it's good.
Date night, alone, in
good.
bed. I'm just guessing.
Yes. Yes, quite frankly, yes. And, last week I was talking about how I looked up Rebecca Yarros. Once again, I am loving you more and more. And I use that word a lot. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, but I do love you. Your writing is stellar, amazing, fantastic, easy to read. And you went there. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You go there. And when I looked at your website, I shared how she has other books.
Mm-hmm.
And she has, some romances, mostly romances. And come to find out by reading, once I got to the end, I actually read the leaflet.
Sure,
the leaflet. What is it? I don't know, the insert cover part. And she was like an army brat and married to a soldier.
Okay.
So I'm making all these connections now.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. I get it. I totally dig who you're into.
Oh, this is an autobiography.
Oh,
minus the dragon.
I'm thinking. Well, actually, also come to find out that she suffers from like a connective tissue issue.
Oh, I do remember this.
So, I mean, you're Violet.
Yes.
And what a badass character. I mean, come on. There's not many steps you can take to get to knowing that she's Violet.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
And I loved knowing that. I loved not knowing it to begin with. And then I go, okay, inspiration. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This underdog who is a badass. And Violet also suffers with the constant people thinking that she's weak or can't do things, right. And finding it within yourself that you can do anything that you want. But also realizing that your body might have limitations, but it's also skilled for other things.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's super cool. So shouting out to that and people who, overcome challenges for sure. But then knowing that she's drawing on the bad boys and the sweethearts and whatnot.
Sure.
And, having her own soldier at home probably adds to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Because let's be honest, we are all Team Xaden.
Totally. And she grew up in the environment. So it's like Violet's mom's the colonel or is that her title? General. She's a general. You're right. It's Dane's dad who's a colonel.
You're right.
But yeah.
Yeah. And Violet grows up in it. She grew up in it. I don't know the exact specifics on ranking and whatnot, but you experience it,
Yeah.
And it's a different family and it's a different breed for sure.
Yeah.
So I think total shout out to that coming from a military family. Well, I mean, being one with my wife. Super cool, super sexy. And then to continue the conversation about sexy,
please do.
You gave it to us. You gave it to us. And boy, did you give it to us. And I was actually thinking on the way over here about Twilight. And you might be going, Katie, why were you thinking about Twilight?
Katie, why were you thinking about Twilight?
Okay. Another just stellar hit, took off. I read that in my 20s for sure. And, there's great tension that builds and everybody's so excited for Bella to become a vampire and, the vampire loving and,
sure.
When they finally can be together because she's finally strong enough to be with, excuse me.
With Edward.
With Edward, yes.
Culling with the Cullens.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that was a thing.
It might have been. I didn't read it. I watched it. It was good.
Yeah. Once again, book was better.
Yeah.
And that was sexy. That was cool. It was also written, I believe, from someone who didn't want to make it as sexy as Rebecca did.
Sure, more of I don't know, is Twilight considered young adult?
Maybe I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. I liked it. I loved it. Fun to read. Great to read. But this, if you are expecting a Twilight experience where it talks about the lovin', but not as deeply, literally as deeply.
Very spicy.
You can feel what she's feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I read it. I do.
Yeah.
In fact.
She is fulfilled. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Yes. And did I have to stop what I was doing and go, oh, I need to save this moment for later? Maybe. And maybe some of you did as well.
I think a good portion of the people in the big scheme of things who read this book did the same.
Yeah. And so that's just one part of it. But what I love is the writing leading up to it. You fall more and more in love with her loving this character. And he really starts to protect her.
Yeah. And that made me think of something because there's a whole genre, of just spicy books, which awesome, cool, great.
Yeah.
But there aren't a lot of authors that I know of. I've heard of a couple, Rebecca being one of them, who are capable or I guess decide to really go there with the story.
Good point.
As well as with the sexy scenes.
Right.
And the way that these intertwine, the way she builds those relationships and creates these tensions and, whatever else, you're rooting for somebody, you're not rooting for somebody else. How, we've already talked about how great of a writer she is, period, but how she can just sort of toss in a few of these sexy scenes here and there and it just fits so perfectly.
Right. I mean, there's tension, there's kissing, there's some hot parts. And then when you actually get to the sex, it's towards the last third of the book. And, if you're reading a romance or, a sexy novel, that might be at the beginning or all throughout.
Right.
And so I think it's enjoyable for all sorts of audiences.
Yes.
But don't be fooled that it's not going to get you. It's not going to deliver because he delivers as the character you would hope he is. And obviously we're speaking of Xaden.
Yeah,
we're speaking of Xaden.
We are speaking of Xaden.
And to the point, though, of being in Violet's perspective, she thoroughly enjoys it and she holds her own and she's having a good time too.
Yeah.
So if you're just listening to this and you're like, oh my goodness, these girls are describing quite an adventure, obviously that is a highlight of the book. And it happens twice.
Yep.
It actually happens more than twice within those twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
They're young.
They're young. We love you. We appreciate you. It's something to enjoy. That being said, there were other parts where I was just going through it. And I think I'll have to make a video recap of the phases of reading Fourth Wing this week.
The ups, the downs.
All the emotions, because it's not all just about Violet and Xaden.
No, it's not.
So as we've mentioned, there's this war going on. We've made it through the threshing. Challenges are happening. And I will say thank you, Rebecca, because Mr. Jackass, you think he's going to get it during the sparring match when Violet's with him and poisons him. And you're like, yes, because she's so close to killing him. And it's funny to say that you're rooting for someone to go down, but this is
He's
war.
the worst.
He's the worst. And he doesn't. She finds out after nearly dying herself that she didn't succeed, and he's still around. And he's still so around that when they start the war games,
Yeah.
he does some pretty horrible things and makes an impact in a negative way. But then she is able to kill him, finally. With rocks, I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
And then so it's also this depth of it goes against who Violet is in her soul. And yet her dragon specifically, is not encouraging her. And Xaden's not technically encouraging her either, but is letting her know that he understands it. Like both of her supports and who have been her undercover strength, really, I think, are basically saying that it was strong of her to do that. But what's stronger is the ability to know that she had to.
Right.
That she had to, and that the first one is going to be the hardest.
Yep.
And that it should never get easier. If you have a soul, it should never get easier. And I liked that perspective too, because then you throw in Mr. Jackass, and he just is ruthless. And there are people out there like that, that might be enjoying the power and enjoying hurting others. And, that's just a part of the world. And so it's kind of neat to see a character finally get his comeuppance.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I said, he had a major part in, hurting others and destroying other lives.
Certain people's other favorite ancillary characters.
Yep. And I felt so bad for Rhiannon.
Yeah.
And then it's such a contradiction, like, of emotion and feeling, because towards the last third of the book, her and Xaden finally get hot. And I mean hot. Like they're actually, isn't that when it happens? They have all these emotions, and she is so overcome with her feeling. And that's when she gets her signet, everybody.
Oh, yes.
Her lightning, by the way, she commands lightning.
Right.
And that's how she's able to destroy Jack.
Yeah.
Crumble, crumble, crumble.
Right. When she discovers it is during the hot and heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so she's, she and Xaden goes to comfort her, or really talk to her about that experience of taking someone's life.
Right. He's been there.
And she's feeling it, and that's when it happens, and she could barely control herself. And that's what's the fun. I think that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
The fantasy part of it, because whatever moments you've had in your life, I doubt that you also command lightning.
Right.
And so let's just say when she's letting loose, like, things are burning, things are getting destroyed. It's like lights out, lights in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Pretty fun. So happy that Jack's gone. And then, they continue, and then this next part gets overwhelming. And Liam dies. Yeah. And
the worst part of the book, honestly.
I couldn't help but go back to last week's episode, where you're like, okay, so if there's an ancillary character, and I'm like, Liam, I love Liam. And then, of course, he dies.
Yeah.
He dies. And it's this, and it's amazing, because when he dies, it's because, his dragon's dying.
Yeah.
And so it's like a twofer.
Mm-hmm.
And you really see the connection, and you realize how connected even the dragon characters are, and how essential they are. And it's this extra depth that you get. And any Game of Thrones fans out there too, like, anytime those dragons died, I was devastated.
Yeah. It's hard to speak because I don't want to jump into the second book, but I'm going to say one thing, because it's not that crazy.
Okay.
I think it's in this book. It's noted that dragons are not just reproducing like they used to.
Oh, right.
Is that
Yes,
right? Okay.
yes.
I mean, obviously, it's a huge loss no matter what. And the bond the writer has with the dragon, it's just all devastating. But I think the dragons really feel it too, because it's just like they know what's going on out there. And now one of their greats is lost. And so
Yeah.
that's just another like part of the mourning.
And I think it's also the combination of fewer riders and fewer dragons.
Right.
So it's like they're really connected.
Mhm.
And it's interesting that you say that. Maybe there's a little bit of foreshadow just talking about it and thinking about it. Just being done with the fourth wing. Obviously, you know what my next read's going to be.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's so hard not jumping into it immediately, as you'll know. But you also come to find out that the childhood stories were real.
Oh, the fables.
Yeah,
Yes.
there was a note from the father about, you'll know what to believe when you're, and make a choice whether to believe or not. And the wyvern or wyvern,
Wyvern,
right?
maybe.
My understanding is that those are dragons that have been taken over by dark magic.
Right.
And so then you also get this perspective from Vi's dragons that is the worst sin, to take over such a magical, beautiful, powerful being as a dragon and basically turn them into non-thinking, destructive entities.
Yeah. Zombie
So
dragons.
yeah, I thought that was an incredible part too.
Yeah.
When that world comes to life. And then Vi gets injured. She basically starts sacrificing herself. And Darna, the little feathertail, starts sacrificing herself. And after Liam dies, you're like, everybody's dying, except for we know that there's another book, but maybe they're gonna switch perspectives because authors can be cool like that. And thankfully she doesn't, but as she's whisked away, Xaden's basically saying, I don't know if we want to chance it. Oh, yes, by the way, we come to find out that Xaden and his troop of, rejects, not rejects, but the ones that were like banished,
right,
are actually have more of a story and are good guys trying to protect the realm. And her mother has basically been keeping this secret that the realm is at war with these horribly evil beings, that there weren't just two brothers. There wasn't just the griffin and the dragon, but there was also the third who got jealous of the two brothers, as so the fable says.
Right.
And so not having the same abilities, what does he do? What does that brother do? He steals the power.
Yep. Jealous,
and
greedy.
and his soul becomes corrupt. And so there are these evil beings out there, which you kind of get close in combat with too. And you come to find out that just how Vi is a young writer, there's also these younger, I'll have to, you guys know what I'm talking about. Venom.
Yeah, the venom.
The venom.
So the whole time, up until the very end, pretty much, you're under the impression that there's this war going on.
Right.
Dragon riders, griffin riders. Okay, the griffin riders are the enemy. And then all of a sudden, fake news, there's actually this whole other entity that we really should be scared of. And then that raises all these questions. Well, why is the government hiding this from us?
Right.
And there's just so much to think about.
Yes. And then Xaden, too, his depth becomes even greater because Vi finds out about the lashings on his back. As he becomes more intimate with her, feels vulnerable, feels safe, he confides that 107 lashings for each of the children of the parents who were not resorters, like rebellions.
Yeah.
And then the rebellions had purpose too, right? So it's an incredible double perspective. You kind of see that coming, but I like how it's developed. And then Vi wasn't even actually supposed to be exposed to this experience,
right? But
a lot of stuff happens between the pages. I'm telling you, you guys know we could go on for hours just talking about this one book, and it never stops. I don't even want to say it ramps up at the end. You just finally get some of the joy of some of these things falling into place, such as at the end, and Darna is not dead. While Vi has been recovering because she was poisoned, she comes to find out that she was recovering and basically not healed, but there's a word. It's not healed. It's like saved, not even saved, but fixed. It was like a temporary fix or
For
something.
Violet?
Yeah. Do you remember? For some reason, I'm missing my vocabulary. I apologize, everybody. I apologize so much, but not
I don't
healed,
remember.
but I don't know. What's the word? Less weakened? What is it?
I don't remember.
I'll find it. I'm going to find it. It's great. I love how they talk about it. Mended.
Oh, yes, by
I
a
found it.
mender.
Mm-hmm. And who is the mender?
Well, is this the part where you cried?
No, I cried when Liam died.
Oh, okay.
Straight up died.
Well, I don't know. You love your brother. So.
This is true. This is true. So Brennan's alive, right? Yeah. And like you kind of start to get that. And then it ends on that perfect freaking cliffhanger. Thank goodness the book's already written, the second one, where it's Brennan saying, "Welcome to the rebellion."
Yeah.
Or welcome to the fight.
Revolution, maybe?
The revolution?
All synonyms.
Revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the revolution.
And now it's like, okay, wait a second. Not only was Mom lying.
Yeah.
But my brother was too, which is, for good reason.
Yeah.
But guess what? Now I have this brother back like crazy.
Okay, so 2 questions, and you can't really answer it, so I'm just going to put them. Yeah, because she already knows the answers. So I'm going to put it out there for those who are where I'm at. 1, Mira was so angry about Xaden. Mira's been out in the land. Has she not met Brennan? Does she not know what's going on? I can't look at Ashley just in case she gives it away.
I actually don't remember, like right off the top of my head.
Okay.
And it's one of them.
Right? and then another thought too, and her sister's great, and you get more Mira in this one. I almost wondered at first, I was like, is Mira like jealous? Did she hook up previously with Xaden? But I think it might be a different way. And also I'm not looking.
Oh, sorry.
And the other thought I had too is Dad really dead?
Oh, yeah.
But maybe, I don't know. That's maybe just an afterthought as this is marinating with me. So, I mean, there's a lot to marinate with, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it makes you, with that cliffhanger, perfect. You're ready to jump in. What is she going to choose? But she did make this promise to Liam to look after new character, Sloane, who will probably enter in the second book, maybe. Is she going back because of that promise? We're going to find out. You already know, or you're going to find out with me. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And if you haven't been into this, I do suggest checking it out.
Oh my gosh. Yes. It's just such a great book. It's such a great series. I mean, I hope it is. I still have number 3. I'm going to wait. And then we can read it together.
Thank you.
It's going to be really exciting.
Oh,
Everybody get excited.
Yep. And then so once again, reading more about her, she's badass author, badass characters all the way. Still don't like Dane, still hate him, don't like him. So she does a good job of developing that. But you also understand where he's coming from,
right?
Which is cool because some of those characters you just don't like. Like I didn't really like Henry, but you understand more about Dane,
right?
Character flaws, person, just being a person. Very interesting though, when Amber, who tried to kill Violet, ends up dying. But then you also find out that Dane, the reason why Xaden was even in trouble, and the only reason why Vi was in trouble was because Dane broke his promises, or basically just intruded Vi's secrecy and read her mind.
Right.
What a douchebag. What a douchebag.
Yeah.
Bona fide, 100% douchebag.
Right. And it's even something like I'm going to get to know too as we go into the third book, but it's just like it starts all these other questions. Like, is Dane going to be around? Is he going to be a traitor? Is he going to maybe be helpful at some point? Like, where's this going to go?
Yeah. Is he going to redeem himself? Rebecca, what did you do? I can't wait to find out. Also, though, I hope a dragon ink too. Not you, Rebecca.
No, not Rebecca, please.
Dane. 100%.
Book drop.
Book drop. All right, Ashley. We're about to get into your
We sure are.
We're going to get under your cover.
We're getting under the cover of The Antidote, a novel by Karen Russell. If you've been reading along with me, you already know The Antidote, a novel, is another period piece, a little historical fiction, if you will,
You're so worldly.
Yeah, so I'm just learning a lot. And like I was mentioning earlier to Katie off cam, it's hard to tell with these books, just like where does the truth, history end and where does the fiction begin? So
Are you telling me you weren't alive in the 1930s, Ashley?
I was hardly alive in junior year when we learned about the Dust Bowl the first time. So yes, why don't we get everybody up to speed? Katie, since you haven't been partaking in the first 95 pages of the Antidote.
Okay, but I think the best thing about this is last week I was like, oh, what's it about? And you said, I have no idea.
And I was so excited. Fantastical, historical, supernatural, miraculously faithful to the legacy of a nation's eradicable past.
Wow. That's a lot of words.
That's a mouthful right there, isn't it? Set the scene. It's 1935. April 15th, in fact.
Tax day?
Before there was such a thing. Tax day.
Sounds like a horrible day.
We're in Nebraska. There's a misconception that the Dust Bowl happened in like Oklahoma only, but it spread quite across the plains in the South.
Okay.
So we're in Nebraska. So far, we've got a few different perspectives. We've got a young girl who goes by Dell. She's an orphan living with her uncle. We've got the Prairie Witch, who is intriguing.
I'm in.
Now, okay, don't get me wrong.
Like a real witch? Like, which witch?
Yes, the occult is alive.
Oh.
So it kind of makes sense when we're going through these hard times as a people that we turn to the supernatural in this time of need, desperation.
Okay, sure. Ooh, I like
looking
that, though.
for some kind of help when physically, the government, the environment, society, people in general are just not there for each other, really. They're looking for a mystical answer. So it is pretty cool. And I think as I read, much like my last, first half read, I think as I read further, I'm going to become more invested in these characters. Right now, I'm intrigued. So anyway, the Prairie Witch is the antidote, and that's no secret. That's her name. So she's like the antidote to these hard times that her customers are going through.
Is it told through her perspective?
Well, it's told through, so far, 4 people's perspective.
Yikes.
Hers is one of them, and I shouldn't even say...
Does your brain hurt?
A little bit.
Like, we've been on this journey of, like, lots of different perspectives.
And this is just like, Karen Russell is not Evie Woods, but I feel like maybe they had a class together because I'm just getting totally different writing styles, but like the
Karen
storytelling.
Russell, Evie Woods, please confirm. Thank you.
Girlfriends? I think so. All right. So anyway, one perspective is a scarecrow. So he's
I'm sorry,
inanimate for now, and he might be becoming something more.
Very
so that's
interesting.
Something that I can't wait to talk about next time we meet. So we have the Prairie Witch, we have the orphan. Oh, and then we have the orphan's uncle.
Oh,
so
it's told through the little girl perspective.
She's 15, I believe. Yeah.
So not annoying.
No, she's been through a lot. Her mother was murdered. Oh, yes, don't forget, it's me talking, so there is a murder involved.
But this was recommended to you. Okay, so who knew you?
Okay, TikTok, the algorithm.
There you go.
Yes.
Murder 1930s. Okay, next recommendation cannot come from TikTok.
I'm going in a whole different direction. I thought I was going in a different direction with this one. Okay, I wasn't. This is a new book. It was intriguing. It was going to be the hot new goss on TikTok, so I thought, oh, it must be relevant. It must be, having me at the edge of my seat. I'm in the back of my seat, but I'm sticking with it because I do need to know what happens.
You know what, though? I think you're just maybe what I'm coming to find out about you, Ashley, is that maybe you the book has to earn your love.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it does. And I'm going to give it that chance.
Cool.
So overall, where we're at, and if you've also read the first 95 pages, you know that there's a lot to learn. There's a murderer on the loose. There is
In the prairies.
In the prairie. They've killed at least 7 women. They're the lucky rabbit foot murderer. They leave a rabbit foot. There's a strong theme
Whoa.
of jackrabbits in the book. I'm not sure how we're going to tie that end up, but there's a strong theme of jackrabbits.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're looking for the killer, I think, because there is somebody in custody who clearly didn't do the killing. So that's a whole nother story that I'm not even going to touch right now because I don't know where we're going, to be honest. But as far as the actual prairie witch goes, it was apparently a real thing. Real, as in this was an idea that was happening in history.
Wait, this was based off of...
So I don't want to say it was
Was
based.
there a murderer too?
No,
Well,
I don't think that
probably.
those are accurate. But the concept of the prairie witch during the Dust Bowl, during these Depression times, is something that was happening in the real
Evie
world.
Woods taking actual historical things and weaving them through her story.
Exactly. And I think it's like something that, I've never heard of before. Doesn't mean nobody else has heard of it, but it's a really interesting concept, I think, to write about. Is something that is kind of spooky.
Yeah.
But was
real spooky.
Yeah, but the community
spooky real.
Yeah, exactly. So, and they call themselves vaults. The concept is you are in a trance-like state as the prairie witch. People come to you and pay you to unload their secrets or bad memories or whatever is holding their soul down. They come in, they physically say whatever the memory is, whatever the experience is, whatever it is that they want to get off their chest.
A cleanse.
Yes. And then the prairie witch is in a trance and absorbs this information. And then the person who unloads it, the customer, leaves lighter with no recollection of the specific memory.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And then the vault, the prairie witch, the antidote in our case, doesn't know either.
Okay, so how much of that moment experience is shared? Is it in detail? Are you watching this like a fly on the wall? I want to know.
We're just learning about the concept for now. The young girl is trying to be an apprentice to the witch because she feels like she has something magical inside of her.
Okay.
She also has money as a motivator because the prairie witches are the only ones who are in business right now.
Sure.
We're in the Depression. We're in the Dust
Sure.
Bowl. Crops are not booming. Jobs are not available. People are starving and dying left and right, by the way,
And
with the
hopeless.
dust. Hopeless. So who's the one who's actually got business? I'm sure the sex workers, but along with them, the prairie witches. So anyway, we're learning about the process, but unfortunately, there was Black Sunday, which was the big dusty day that the Dust Bowl took over and really actually a historical event, killed a lot of people, ruined a lot of crops. This goes on for days and days, but that specific Black Sunday that you can actually read about in real history happens. And this Antidote prairie witch loses all of the secrets that were kept in her. Now, this is bad news for her because if you're reading along, sometimes people want those memories back. So she's like a deposit box.
She's a bank.
Exactly.
And she's able to give them back?
So we haven't had that experience yet in the book, but from what she says, normally she would go ahead and give the memory back, like if somebody wants to store it temporarily.
Okay, so actually I'm intrigued just because this concept is wicked cool.
Yeah, it is.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
It almost seems like was there hypnosis involved?
It feels like that because for the witch and other witches alike, she's got friends who are witches as well. And like I said, this apprentice may or may not be a witch. We're not sure yet. But they go into a trance. So they're unconscious.
Okay.
Their body has been physically trained to listen in this trance to the customers. And when the customer stops talking, to consciously wake up. And these are just cues that she's had to learn.
And stored in their memory.
Yes, but the witch doesn't know the secret either. It's just within her body. So unfortunately, when the big dust storm comes, she wakes up in the middle of it feeling bankrupt is the word she uses, feeling an emptiness inside of her. And come to find out, she's learning that those secrets are missing. And I don't know if we're going to be on a journey to find them or figure it out or what's happened. It's going to cause some problems for her it seems.
Okay, honestly, I think this is pretty intriguing.
So that's what I wanted to talk about. This author apparently wrote a really good one I've talked about before, almost won a Pulitzer, Swamplandia, which is the train I got on to end up reading this book.
Got it.
But her way of writing, it's a little verbose.
Just that one thing that you introduced us with. I was like, what was the third word you said?
Yeah, they were all pretty similar words. So she's a little verbose, but her ideas and the concepts, like where are we going with this scarecrow? He just turned up as a character that we have a perspective from, and it's literally a scarecrow in a field. So he's becoming more personified, I guess you can say. He's starting to have feelings, and we're like learning with him as he like remembers the concept of spring, the most beautiful word in our language.
Of liking it. So do you like parts of it?
So I'm learning to like it again. We're going to see what happens. It has a lot of potential, but I'm just like kind of blown away. Like, where do people come up with this?
Well, and you almost wonder if like that's your job as a writer, to whatever you're inspired from. Maybe she was on a trip and heard something. Do you know like where she was inspired?
I don't know what her background is. I haven't looked into it, but what I did want to bring up was, so like in Swamplandia, the other book that she wrote, she follows the story of this little girl who's trying to save her crocodile farm or something. I mean, don't quote me on that.
Girls.
But so I think there's like a badass theme perhaps because it's a strong young girl.
Yeah.
Everybody else is distraught, has lost hope. And then these girls are trying to like stand up and, you know, make the story their own while also maybe saving the people around them. So
and maybe it's a part of her that she just, that's what she's doing.
Thinking, because I don't know much about either story right now. And that is at least a similarity that I'm seeing.
Okay.
So we'll learn more.
Okay. So you mostly like it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm
reading it.
I'm going to keep reading it because we're on a journey, and I'm maybe a fourth of the way through. So there's a lot to come. This one, I will say, I'm not going to do a spoiler on myself, but there have been many moments. I'd love to know from you as well in the comments if you felt this way, where I have wanted to go and Google and be like, so where are we going with this?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
So it's not a binge?
No,
it's
not for me.
Okay. I can't wait to get through Iron Flame, is it? So that we can Black Onyx together.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so good.
I know. And I just talked with a friend of mine, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been reading Fourth Wing, talking about it on our podcast. And she was like, oh yeah, I read all three. I was like, didn't Black Onyx just come out? And she was like, yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Great.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. You know, there are other books, such as the one we'll be talking about shortly, that I read in a day because I was so captivated. Not the case for the Antidote.
Okay.
I think it's nice, slow burn. I'm going to leave it at that because I do want to know what happens. Like when I pick it up, I want to keep reading, but to get me to pick it up, it's just, we're not, it's not a page turner in that sense.
I was going to say, that's what I want to know about you. What is, because Thursday Murder Club wasn't. Antidote isn't. You mentioned a little bit, we'll be running to it in a moment. And about Fourth Wing, Rebecca, I guess a little bit you were with the Lost Bookshop, but what's a page turner for you? Like, what's your ideal first couple of pages or first chapter?
You know what? And I'll probably have to get back into it once I'm done with this one if something else doesn't cross my desk. But I love these. And I don't want to call them cheesy and disrespect the author, but I love these like quick paced thrillers where something devastating happens. I guess I like it dark. I mean, this is a little bit dark, but this is like 1935 dark. I need like
you want something that jars you that you have to solve.
Girl gets kidnapped. Yeah. Mom is missing. Something
so you,
like
you
that.
like solving problems.
I guess so.
And something like this it's revealing it to you.
Yeah.
It's not like you're along for the journey.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's good to know.
Yeah. So I'm happy with the read. I'm not going to stop reading it. And I think that's something I will say, if it comes up, even though we're doing this podcast, if I pick up a book and I just feel like I don't have time for this, I mean, we're reading a lot right now.
Yeah, we are.
So you do have to be at a certain level right now to keep me in.
Yeah.
I'm staying in. I do want to know what happens. I think her writing is interesting ideas-wise. Again, I'm not like super attached to her style. But we'll see what happens.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that, though, because I was thinking there's not enough time. And what I mean by that is I'm to a place in my life where I am so busy. I know you are so busy. I'm sure all of you badasses out there, you all have lives too. And if there's a bad show on TV, I don't have to watch it.
Totally.
Especially with Netflix, who, like, when we were younger, whatever was on the TV, that's what you got.
Right.
Unless you were not yucky, lucky. Yeah, yuckity yuck.
Yucky duck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I went there with you. If you were lucky enough to have, pay-per-view or like something, one of those channel boxes or whatever. Or a special black box that nobody ever had ever. And so, anywho, now it's so oversaturated. Same thing with music. You don't like something, you don't have to listen to it.
Right.
It's not like you spent your, weekly allowance on a CD that you heard was going to be good and now you've got it. And it's just like everything for entertainment is saturated. So you get to be picky.
Right.
And I kind of agree. Like, if we weren't reading so many books right now, I wouldn't be so picky. I mean, I'd probably read a few pages, then I'd go have my life and be like, oh, what was that book I was reading? Let me get back into it. But I have thoroughly enjoyed jumping into books with you.
Yeah.
And not everybody knows this, but this kind of started because you had a New Year's resolution.
To read more.
And I said, Ashley, I'm so busy. I can't wait to join you. I want to do this with you. In a month, we'll read a book. And the next thing you know, she read like 9.
Yeah. So January was a big month for me. I read a lot of books, and it was the books that you just asked me about. 300 to 400 pages, newer authors writing about very similar ideas, just like, kind of gory, yucky, devastating stuff. But it works for me.
Hey, well, and that's the cool thing too. And honestly, we've been reading a lot of different kind of books, except for you, which is fine. But I have been enjoying it, and I'm glad that we're doing it. And that's what's cool about a book club. It kind of keeps me going.
Yeah.
And some books that I might have just like, thrown aside and maybe seen them in a couple months, I'm either wanting to finish them or not. But so far, we've been finishing.
And, actually, that made me think it's enriching reading books that I wouldn't normally pick up because you will find me on Google reading about these dust storms, this dust bowl, agriculture of the time. I get sidetracked, and I have. Maybe that's why I haven't made it that far in this book, but I'm like learning a lot on the real side, not to mention I have to go and check, like, did this really happen or is she elaborating here?
I love that. And it's kind of neat that we're reading different books, I think. Well, technically, you've already read the books that I have until we venture elsewhere.
Just this case, yes.
But I'm learning from you. Like, I don't know. I kind of like the Cliff Notes version, too, because I'm so tired.
It's really funny that you say that because there are parts of this book where I'm like, I think Katie would really like this, like the whole witchy thing. And then I'm like, but I'm really glad I didn't ask her to read it with me because it's kind of dragging.
That is solid.
So it's perfect book club. We get to chat about it. You didn't have to sit through it.
I watched a show too, or a video or something. I don't know. And they were talking about a book club, and this one lady is like, oh, I never read the books. I'm just here to hang out.
Oh, okay.
And it's like,
meet me next week.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you guys, I hope there's some of you guys out there.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Well, shall we go running?
Oh my gosh.
This next one's a big one. It's a doozy.
It is a doozy.
But it's fun. I mean, mostly, I guess, if you're into a dystopian future. Anybody?
I had fun. Because guess what? I finished this book in one day.
Show off.
I was captivated.
Gosh, look at this one.
It's the second podcast now where I've come in reading maybe 20% of the book. So I just want people to know I can read, and I did read this in one day.
First thoughts? I did not. But first thoughts? Anybody? Ashley?
My first thoughts were captivating. My other thoughts were, okay. So obviously, this is Stephen King, The Running Man, just for everybody following along.
But not Stephen King.
It's Richard Bachman, his alias. I think we did touch on the fact that, this was a little experiment for him. He was throwing books out left and right. Publishers were saying, hey, Stephen, let's just release one per year. We don't want to oversaturate the market.
The main character is Richard's. Do you think that was like on purpose?
Well, that might have been on purpose. I did read a little something where there is another author, I believe, that Stephen was fond of, whose first name was Richard. There is a breakdown on the internet of where he came up with his pen name or pen name. Yeah, but very well could be. I don't know if this is the first one he wrote as Richard or what the story is.
Okay, I won't interrupt. I'm sorry. I was just
No.
curious. I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not recognize
Ben
that?
Richards.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably. I mean, also Stephen King's written like 1,000 bajillion books. I learned on Reddit when I was trying to narrow it down for this one.
Yeah.
So you're gonna run out of names.
Bad ass.
It's super badass.
Okay, okay. My first impression, I'm so glad you picked this because Stephen King is a badass.
Okay, I agree. And it honestly, a lot of thought went into it. It's my first Stephen King that I've read. I will read more someday, not anytime that soon. But I'm glad. Like, I'm glad this was the pick because I liked it.
And we recently talked to a golden badass who said that it was uncharacteristic, but his style was definitely there, which is kind of neat because he's more of a thriller, murder,
Horror.
Thank you. Horror.
Yes.
He's a little horror.
Yeah.
Steven. Steven. Mr. Steven. I love it.
And this one is more of a sci-fi.
100%. And that surprised me. I was like, oh, Ashley picked a book. It's Stephen King, kind of. Okay, what's it going to be? And then I was like, oh, okay. First page, and you're there. And I do want to say this. I like how he just assumes that you know what he's talking about. He will mention different parts in the society and without explaining them, and you have to pick them up in context, and then you are in that world.
That's funny you say that because I read the first 2 pages and I was like, oh my goodness, okay, I need to take notes perhaps if it keeps going on like this because at that point I was like, who's Ben? Who's Richard?
Right.
Same Ben Richards. Who's Kathy? Who's, this and that? And then I'm like,
Freebie.
oh, okay.
What are blams? What are,
The ideas, the products and things I was able to catch on to, but when he just jumps into this conversation in their house about, who's sick and who's coughing and who's this and who's that, I'm like, okay, buckle up for Stephen King. But then really quickly, he lets us know what the full scope of the situation is.
Yep.
We figure out who's who and what's what within the next few pages. So he is probably the best writer that ever lived. I don't know.
You know what, though? Fair assessment. I mean, all the things that we've been talking about, what grabs you, he's got it. I mean, his wording might not be your flavor, but he does it so well. I mean, it is so natural. I mean, it just straight down into his hands, wherever it's coming from, he's got it. And he's got it good and he's got it bad. And it makes so much sense why he's able to be so prolific.
And I also think it makes a lot of sense as to why so many of his works are adapted into some kind of film or, cinema,
Right.
whatever, TV show. Because as I'm reading, I'm thinking in terms of the TV screen. I mean, with this book in particular, there's a
Descriptive,
theme of a
vivid.
TV,
Mhm.
but like I'm just picturing whatever person has decided to make the movie. Well, we'll talk about the actual movie that got made later. But in my head, I'm like, this is a movie. Like I'm watching it as I'm reading it the way he writes.
I was so busy, I wanted to cheat and watch the movie, but I knew it wouldn't be the same. So I'm glad I didn't.
Well, I'm glad you didn't either. Let's just get to that really quickly.
Okay.
So I really wanted to finish the book in one day. And then I was so like running manned in. I wanted to watch the movie. I knew it existed. I go to find it. And guess who is our Ben Richards, our star? None other but a young governor.
Okay, so the governor.
Yes.
Or Jingle All the Way.
Or, okay, so let's just say I
Put the
watched.
cookie down.
Did you watch the trailer?
Okay, I did not. And let me tell you why. Because I did myself a solid. I read the first minus countdown, the first chapter-ish.
Uh-huh.
Very cool style also.
Yes.
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 And I did not picture Arnold. And so knowing that it was Arnold, I was like, I can't watch it. I can't see that because it's not. It's just not. And I like that it's not in the book.
Yeah. So it's totally different. And I did read a little bit about it. I mean, they just, they took this idea, which is a really cool concept about this game show where your life is at risk and this dystopian society, but they went way sci-fi with it. Arnold's full-on accent, very hasta la vista baby time frame in
Interesting.
1987 when it was done. So it's a whole different vibe, like a similar storyline, but a completely different vibe. There's no Ben Richards in my book.
No, because Schwarzenegger was also a bodybuilder and Ben Richards not.
He's a
Average
tall,
Joe.
average Joe.
Yeah.
And he's not, he's not
Yes.
RoboCop.
No, he drinks. Like I was getting drunk reading it.
There you
I was
go.
like, you had 2 bottles of bourbon before you're gonna like be chased to death, like by
Honestly,
hunters.
relatable. Okay, relatable. If you've been there, you've been there. But what I will say really just quickly before we move on from the movie that I didn't end up watching because I couldn't because I was so invested with
Let's
my
watch it
man
now, though.
Ben.
I wanna watch
Maybe
it now.
now I can,
I
but
wanna watch
just totally, as our discussion before said, separate the book from the movie.
Right.
You might not have to though, because November, allegedly, there is a new The Running Man being released with one Glenn Powell. I don't know if everybody's familiar. He's kind of new on the scene. I think he was in Top Gun. I could be wrong.
Oh, the new
newer
one?
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Oh.
No, that was. Okay. No, it wasn't him. But whatever. He's similar to that guy.
I love this. I don't know what's going on with my laugh today, but I love it.
Anyway, he's a new actor. He's a big deal. People, you guys all know him, I'm sure. But I'm reading a little bit more about it.
Okay.
And it seems like it's going to be a little more closely to the tone, to what we really would expect for Ben Richards.
Also 2025.
Yeah.
This dystopian society. And that's kind of fun too, going back into an author. He wrote this in the 80s. We know it was from the 80s. And yet his view into the future is now. And yet it is far off. But that's fun to me to imagine, okay, this is where someone thought it could be, you know, or just playing with that amount of time and what would progress socially.
And I thought Stephen did a really good job because, like, there were flying cars, but, like, they weren't all flying cars. Did you catch that?
Did you catch that airplanes can go into outer space?
No. Did I?
At the end, like right
Oh,
above.
yes. Okay, yes.
I was like, okay, not too far off.
Yeah, and you know, there are some themes there, like no one's trusting of the government. The media is like totally painting a picture of something that isn't real. There are some similar ideas.
Absolutely. And this idea of, you know, social classes and people playing on what kind of keeping people, that was an interesting perspective, keeping people in a certain station.
Yeah.
And how they manipulate that to feed their audience so that they continue to have their audience. But once again, I got very much Hunger Games vibes.
Yes.
And I almost wonder if there was some influence there.
Yeah, I
know?
could see that, definitely.
Okay, so I pictured, I wonder if anybody else felt this way. Stanley Kubrick, like very Clockwork Orange was the feel that I got. So
yes.
every scene, every set, I just imagined it more in that kind of a vibe.
Yeah, now that you say that, I think I was doing that unintentionally.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, because once you say Clockwork Orange, I'm like, I think that's what I was watching.
Right?
Yeah,
right?
in my little
Where it's
picture mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a little strange, but it's also spot on. And then it's, I don't know, I just saw that coloration for sure, especially in the hunt and everything. Okay, so what were some of your, let's just do this, let's just run away with it.
Okay.
The things that stood out to you that you maybe enjoyed.
Okay, so some things that I enjoyed. Well, honestly, I fell in love with Ben Richards, like not in a real like romantic way, but just his drive. Sadly, we've all read it. We know that his family was no longer. Like he was going on this journey thinking for one specific reason, and guess what? That reason was long gone. So that was crushing. But just his motivation, I mean, whatever, he really didn't have much of a choice. Honestly, he's an able-bodied man and he couldn't keep a job because of his morals. So what else was he going to do? It was just his like creativity and his way to like trust people he shouldn't have necessarily trusted. Just his relationships that he was able to build when he was like a man on the run. Those were some highlights for me. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I love that you said that about his family because I'm a very big skeptic. I'm thinking, no, they could have been still alive.
Oh, yeah, you're
right.
right.
It could have been a manipulation. Or he says Killian. Okay, so also this play on names. There's a literary term for it for sure. Some sort of device where you put in the thought into the name, and so it's part of it. I don't want to say it's personification.
Some kind of association. And if you're, up on literary devices, let us know in the comments what that is.
It's been a while, but we don't have to go there.
Guaranteed we used to know.
Okay, so guarantee you that we were intelligentsia. Killian assuring that the network had nothing to do with their deaths, all horrible accident. Blah, 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 blah. But there's this line where it says, where Killian, would Richard supposed he believed him, not only because the story sounded too much like a lie not to be the truth, but because Killian knew that if Richards agreed to the job offer, his first stop would be Co-op City, where a single hour on the streets would get him the straight of the matter. So he's saying that he's going to find out anyway. But he also says in this same part that Killian believed that if he knew that people murdered, he was going to go do his job and want revenge on the low scum.
Right.
So to me, it's like you're just saying the motive. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
I don't know. It's in there. But that's basically the odds of what I was trying to find in the words. Killian says, because punctured 60 times, like
excessive.
So where you had the reaction where you're like, that's sad and, oh no, that happened. I'm like, I don't believe it. Or if it was to motivate him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, I can definitely subscribe to it was an inside job, but I don't know. I feel like they're dead. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But guess what?
Maybe I'm overthinking it.
We can agree to disagree. No, you're not overthinking it. You're book clubbing it.
I'm book clubbing it. We be clubbing. Okay. And then, honestly, the end.
Oh, okay. That's something else I wanted to bring up. So it really read like movie to me because we're like going on this journey. And then all of a sudden, big explosion, we're done, which I loved. I liked the ending. I thought it was appropriate, but it just was, is this something Stephen does a lot? Like, does he just like cut the cord? I think so.
Yeah. And I think that's where I was like, oh, dystopian. Oh, there's Stephen.
Yeah.
Hey, Stephen.
Yeah.
Hi. Thanks for killing everybody. I loved it. It was great.
Warmed my heart.
I love how you did that. But it's also like revenge and destroying everything. And, I don't know. I liked it. I definitely liked minus 30 to -0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Picked up for me. And I did enjoy the beginning. Was a little lost, but that's just where my head's at right now.
And then we did want to mention, I totally forgot to address this in the beginning. Right. Stephen was Stevening. It was written in the 80s. There's a lot of derogatory terms that are used. Yeah. And I think that it's part of the style because it's part of the lived experience of that time. It's part of encapsulating the dystopianness of the whole situation. But when I've watched his works, the more horror-ish ones, like It is something that comes to mind, The Shining, you do get words like that, and it's just part of the time. But yeah. I do think that it's worth mentioning that if you haven't read and you're just listening for the fun of it and you do plan to read, it was a little jarring to see some of the things that we don't see nowadays because of political correctness and just evolution.
Right.
It's there.
And I remember being younger and reading some books, and that's, you learn about history, you learn about how culture was and then develops through pieces of literature that are almost like these time capsules. Even though it was a futuristic, when he wrote it, was at a time where words were used differently. Let's just say it that way. And so I think, the older generations that are reading this book, you'll understand that. If you are part of the younger generations, just like a forewarning, I do not believe that it was intentional in the sense of, using those terms to elicit a different response other than that was part of the writing at that time. However, somebody recently brought up a point to me that language could have been used specifically to show a degradation of society. In using those terms harshly or in a perspective of different racial classes, social classes, sexual identity classes, or things of that such, it was this anticipation that our society would fixate and continue to fixate and perhaps even, harm each other in identifying each other with such differences.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do. And I also think that he is one to not back away and be squeamish. Like, I have a feeling when he wrote, and he's still writing to this day, and I wouldn't put it past him to use similar language in something that he writes now. I can't speak for every author because I feel like he's been writing for so long. I just feel like it's part of his style to just really lay it out there. The ugliness, the darkness, the grossness
the
that there
dragging
is.
of the intestines over the freaking seats.
Yeah, and all of that. Everything
intestines come out, everybody.
Yeah, it's sausage. It's giving Glenn
Beck?
The Walking Dead.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever seen The Walking Dead, but I'm sure many of you watching have, and it was giving Glenn. Like, I'll leave it at that. Google it. But no, I just feel like he doesn't shy away or just like, doesn't want to sugarcoat anything. He wants to make it dark and ugly where
it's in your
feels.
face.
Exactly.
It's showing.
Yeah.
It's very naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exposed.
Ooh. I'm still on fourth wing, you guys.
Yeah. It's going to be a while before you're beyond that.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I'm happy with the pick. It was a lot of pressure I put on myself. Nobody else did, but I wanted to pick something that everyone who joins us would be happy to read. I know he can get a lot darker, a lot more gruesome. I'm not saying this was uplifting, but more sci-fi versus like horror. I'm happy. It's a good start for me as far as like my entrance into Stephen.
Same. I think it's a soft entrance.
Yes, I think it was a good place to start. And honestly, I didn't read that anywhere online, so somebody should write that down.
And similar to Rebecca in the sense, or I should say Rebecca similar to Stephen, adventure, 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 adventure. Something's always happening in every turn. I mean, when you're trying not to die, of course something's going to be happening. Wait a second. Fourth wing, you're trying not to die.
Wow. Themes. Badass themes.
Badass themes. And, well, I mean, they do die in this one.
That reminds me, though, of a scene that I didn't mention that really stuck with me. It was probably, like, one of my favorite parts. If you read it, I was really in that pipe when he was escaping that hotel or YMCA, whatever it was, and he was like stuck and slithering in the slime and like I folded one of the pages. I'm not going to read it, but the way that he just described that whole scenario,
so descriptive,
really stuck with me. It was probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole book.
Because I felt uncomfortable.
Oh, I felt claustrophobic as well.
Oh my goodness, another good point. I loved that. And then the other thing I wanted to say about it too is besides the amazing imagery, the adventure throughout it, the bare nakedness, the grotesqueness. I was busy this week. I don't know how many times I could tell you guys. You guys probably tallying it up. But I audibled. I tag teamed it, because sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to stop the story, so I'm going to listen to it in my car.
Yeah.
And then when I'm ready to flip some pages, I can flip some pages. And to Audible's point, it's not cheating.
No, it's not.
It's Audible.
Yeah.
Yeah. You heard it here, probably not first, but here it is.
Not yet a sponsor.
It was great. It was so great. So major points to the Audible version. If you are an audio person and you would rather listen to it, it was interesting for me. It's been a while since I've listened to, a book out loud. And at first, because it goes and it's so vivid, if your mind is elsewhere on your to-do list, you have to pay attention. But easily one I would recommend for the road, like a road trip.
Oh, yeah.
It's only about 7 hours. So even if you were to drive to Vegas and back, well, I guess it depends on where you live and you're watching this. But yeah, highly recommend. The person who was reading it did a great job switching between voices, and also definitely not Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice. So it worked. It worked out.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. This is going to go hard now. It was so fun.
Okay,
and that brings us to next. All right, what's up next, Ashley?
The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires.
Speaking about audiobooks, recommended on A Movie in Your Mind. There's this audio it's at truck stops. It was at truck stops. So audio tapes, audio CDs that used to be at truck stops. It's called Audiographic, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And they recommended this book. So I think they might be also doing an audio version of it. They're really cool because they have sound effects.
Oh, that's neat.
But this just seems fun. Look at those peaches.
Yeah, and so it's by Grady Hendrix. In case you're ready to look it up and grab it so you can join us for next time. I've started this book before. So I was on this kick a while back last year when it was my New Year's resolution to read more. And I would read a bunch of samples of books that, crossed my desk, I found interesting. And then at a certain point, if I decided I wanted to take the plunge, I would purchase it. This is a book that I actually really did enjoy at the beginning, and I just never got there. 2 young kids is my best excuse, but I was so happy to see this suggestion when it came about. So I'm actually really happy. I'm going to start from the beginning because I don't know exactly how far I got, but
So cool.
I'm really excited. This is one I think that's more up my alley, not to say that 1935 isn't.
I mean, I will say this. I don't know if it is set in current Southern or we might be going back, Ashley. So we're going to find that out. But it is a Quirk Books book. And I do like the dedication for Amanda, wherever all the pieces of you are.
Ooh,
I know.
haunting.
Kinda
I like that.
haunting.
Okay, I don't want to guess at it. I did start it. It's not current, but it's not the 30s.
Okay, hey-o. There are 404 pages. Shall we set a goal to go halfway? Let's not kill ourselves.
Let's do 200. Yeah.
202. Well, or about, wherever the chapter falls. How's
Exactly.
that
That
sound?
is a perfect rule.
Okay, so I'm excited. I hope you guys join us on this adventure. Our book club book, the Southern Book Club. I mean, it's appropriate, right?
It's perfect.
And I have a feeling this might be a popular one. This might take off too. I mean, did you ever see Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer?
I saw the trailer for it.
It was great. I hope I have those vibes. And then I will be continuing next in the trilogy so far, Iron Flame. And are you going to which story are you going to do?
My witch story. I'm going to
Ayo.
finish the Antidote by our next meeting, so I've got some reading to do. But I'm confident.
I'm excited for you. I think I'll need to make some biscuits.
Oh yes, I can't wait.
And let's have sweet tea, or maybe just tea.
Oh, I like sweet tea.
Okay. Hey.
All right,
Badasses, be badasses, be badasses. Read on.
and
Readers.
we'll see you next time.
We're gonna see you next time. Peace.
Right here. Bye.